so essentially any level. It should be at least a one-year contract with the possibility of extension at the time of application. You would again need to have a valid work permit or JVA and intend to reside in the province permanently. Language testing is required for Tier 4 and 5 occupations with the CLB4 that is a minimum requirement in each testing category. There is no provincial processing fee, and the processing time with the federal government is 16 months, and the application is submitted online. However, postgraduate work permit holders are not eligible for the stream. You could apply through the express entry category or the international graduate category, which we're going to talk about now. So for the international graduate category, your job offer requires to be full-time in Tier 0, 1, 2, or 3. If it's a Tier 4, only in-demand occupations are accepted. The contract has to be at least 1 year with the possibility of extension at the time of the application. You must meet requirements and have a Canadian post-secondary degree or diploma. Intend to reside in the province permanently and show sufficient settlement funds. A postgraduate work permit is required. Language testing for Tier 4 in-demand occupations only, and minimum CLB4 in each testing category. If you're a MUN or CNA graduate, and if you're not working in your field of study, you must be working in an occupation where the NOC code requires post-secondary degree. If you're a graduate from another province, you must work in your field of study in the province for 1 year prior to applying to the NLPNP. There is no processing time. There is no processing fee for this category. The processing time is 16 months again, and the application is submitted online. Next, we'll talk about the business immigration categories. We have international entrepreneur and international graduate entrepreneur. So the international entrepreneur, you need to be ages of 21 to provide business plan with supporting financial documentations verified by recognized professional third-party service. Have a minimum Canadian high school diploma or an ECA. Intend to permanently reside in the province while owning and actively managing a local business that has potential to create significant economic benefit to Newfoundland and Labrador. You must show $600,000 in unencumbered net business and personal assets that can be readily transferred to Canada, and be able to invest $200,000 to establish a business in Newfoundland with a minimum 33.3% ownership of $1 million equity investment. You must show you're able to hire locally and in positions relative to the business, and the business should be for-profit entity with the primary purpose of earning profits through sales of goods and services. You must show minimum 2 years of work experience actively managing owning a business in the last 5 years, or 5+ years experience in senior business management in the last 10 years. Language testing is required, and you need to show minimum CLB5. For international graduate entrepreneur, you need to be at least 21 years of age, provide a business continuity plan with supporting financial documentation recognized by professional third-party service, complete a degree or diploma at MUN or CNA within the past 2 years, hold a postgraduate work permit, intend to permanently reside in the province again, same as the international entrepreneur. The main difference is the investment, where there is no investment required. And again, the stability is the same as the international entrepreneur. And for the work experience, you need to show minimum 1 year of continuous experience in actively managing owning the business with a 33.33% minimum ownership. Language testing is required, and we need a minimum CLB7. Program, or the AIP. The AIP is an employer-based program that helps employers in addressing skills and labor market needs. This program was launched due to success of the pilot program. So the employers must first to apply to become designated. The workers would need to wait until the employer is approved. There is higher engagement and settlement and integration by the employers. It has faster processing time. So if you're already working the province as a temporary resident, you could qualify to become a permanent resident, and low labor market impact assessment is required. We're now only accepting applications online for the AIP, so employers must submit their applications through the AIP Immigration Accelerator portal. So the first step is designation. So employers must download the application and indicate the job title, prevailing wage, NACO, tier category, and number of positions required. Positions must be year-round full-time. Business must be in continuous active operation for the previous 2 years. Once they are designated, an endorsement application can be prepared and submitted. The Foreign National will contact the service providing organization and request a need assessment to get a settlement plan. So once you have this and you have the settlement plan, the employer can fill the endorsement application and identify the tier category of the job offer and the position description. Employers must ensure that the candidates have all their supporting documentation for the permanent residency, including language testing and education credential assessment. So once the employer is designated, they can then submit the endorsement application for you. And now we're going to talk about the different categories under the AIP. So as you can see, it's based on the job offer tier that you receive. So for the tier 0 job offer, you need a 1-year work experience in the tier category of 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4 in the past 5 years and meet NOC employment requirements. The job offer has to be the same skill level or higher than your work experience. So it needs to be a full-time job offer in tier 0 occupation for at least 1 year from the time we receive your application. We need the minimum Canadian 1-year post-secondary certificate, diploma, or degree, or an ECA to show the same. And language testing is required with the CLB 5. And the employers need to be designated under the AIP and show recruitment efforts. If applying for you and you don't have a work permit, they would need to show how they could not fill the position locally. So for the tier 1 job offer, needs to be work experience in tier 1, 2, 3, or 4 in the past 5 years and meet NOC employment requirements. Job offer has to be in tier 1, again for a duration of 1 year from the time we receive your application, and the education requirement is the same as the tier 0, as well as the language testing and the employer as well. So that would be the same. For tier 2 and 3, it's a little different. So the work experience has to be for 1 year in a tier 2, 3, or 4 occupation in the past 5 years and meet NOC employment requirements. Full-time job offer in tier 2 or 3, and the education is where there's a difference. Where we just need a minimum Canadian secondary certificate, diploma, or degree, or an ECA to show the same. However, language testing and the employer requirements remain the same. For tier 4, again, 1 year work experience in tier 4 occupation. There is an exemption in place for the healthcare sector, which means that, like I mentioned before, then the job offer has to be the same skill level or higher. So you're in the healthcare sector and the job offer is at a lower skill level, then we can accept that. However, it does need to be a full-time permanent job offer in tier 4 occupation. Education is the same as the tier 2, 3 job offer with just a minimum of secondary certificate, degree or diploma, or an ECA to show the same. Language testing is a bit different, where we just need a CLB 4 and the employment requirements is the same. If you can see, there's an asterisk in the bottom right-hand corner as well as in the work experience column, which says that it's not required for international graduate from Atlantic Canada. So this only is for those international graduate who completed a minimum 2-year program from a recognized post-secondary institution. They would not require to show work experience. However, If you're applying from outside Canada and have been studied in the Atlantic provinces, then you would need to show that 1 year experience, irrespective of the category, like we spoke about. So that was the AIP and the PNP. So we'll just do a bit of a comparison here to give you an understanding of the differences between the two programs. So that would help you in deciding which program you want to apply through. With the PNP, we accept job offers based on the category. So the express entry, skilled worker, and international graduate, whereas the AIP, the category is based on the job offer itself. So there's tier 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. NLP, the labor marking must be completed by the employer prior to the candidate applying. So the employer will need to have the JVA for you before you apply, and it's only required if you don't have a work permit or authorization to work. AIP labor market testing is required in the endorsement application designation state, but also the employer will need to show their recruitment efforts on the endorsement stage. For PNP and ECA, it's only required for express entry applicants if they do not have a Canadian education, whereas AIP ECA is required irrespective of the category. Language testing is required based on the category and not the job offer for PNP, whereas AIP language testing is required for all candidates. PNP candidates must meet knockout employment requirements, which is the same for AIP. PNP and AIP, there is no processing fees provincially for the employer or candidates, and processing time for PNP varies from 8 to 16 months, depending on the category, whereas AIP, you're looking at approximately 6 months. So we now know that having a job is important, irrespective of which program you apply through. So here's some resources where you can find a job. First, the Canada Job Bank. So you can create a profile and be matched with employers in the region. So you can, search for jobs in Newfoundland and Labrador and apply to those jobs. You can also apply to our jobs in provincial government. If you go to our website and create a profile there. And other methods are networking with employers, so hopefully you've done that today, and that's been helpful, but also continue searching on private job search websites like Career Beacon and Indeed, and also participate in upcoming fairs like you did today, so keep an eye out for other fairs as well. So that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for listening to me, and I hope this information was helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to email us at immigration@gov.nl.ca for AIP questions and pnp@gov.nl.ca for PNP questions. You can also find all this information on our website there. I would be happy to answer any questions that you may have, but if we don't or are not able to get to them, please feel free to send us an email. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you so much for listening to us in the chat now. We can spend a few minutes answering those questions. All right. So the first one I saw was about trying to get PR and you have a CRS score. Is there a possibility to get PR with this score? I have a master's in business administration and I have total work experience of 5.5 years in software testing and core banking domain. So I'm going to try to answer these questions generally because we cannot get into personal information of people. So try to refrain from sharing very personal information in this chat, folks. If you want more specific information about your situation, please do email us. To answer this question, for the CRS score that you mentioned, that has to do with the IRCC Express Entry stream. So as we went through today, there is an express entry skilled worker stream with our office where we provide extra 600 points for anybody that goes through our provincial pathway to get their PR. And of course, you need to be in the IRCC Express Entry pool before you can apply to our office for the provincial nomination. However, the nomination requires that you have a job offer or a job in Newfoundland and Labrador and with an employer based here. So the work experience would count towards your score, but essentially two-year contract to apply to our office through the provincial nomination program under the express entry stream, which, like I said, will give you that extra 600 points. So even if you are falling short or not meeting the federal express entry cutoff for to get an ITA, you can then apply to our office, which gives you that extra 600 points as guarantees an ITA at the end of it. So it's definitely a great pathway to choose, but the key or the main important thing here is because it's a provincial nomination by our province in Newfoundland and Labrador, we want to see that you have a job here and your intention is to live here and work here. All right. So the next question I see is there any job opportunities in the banking sector? I applied to many jobs on job.ca, but no response. Is necessary to be residing in Canada? So yeah, that's a great question. We definitely do have a big banking sector here in Newfoundland and Labrador. We have many banks like Scotiabank, RBC, TD, BDC. So a lot of banks here that are always hiring and looking for people. So I would definitely recommend going to their specific websites and looking at their career websites and their postings and applying to them directly. And yeah, should you do get a job offer, then you can go through either the PNP or the AIP if they are a designated employer. So you just meet, the same requirements, which is a full-time job offer, at least 2 years in the province of Newfoundland and Labrador, and you can put in your application to our office. Okay. The next question is, I applied for PR. My profile is the Express Entry pool from the last 3 years. You're in Tier 0 category with a CLV 6.5, and you're still waiting for the ITA. What are the chances of getting PR? Also, without getting PR, I'm not getting job also in Canada because I'm not residing in Canada. So yeah, this kind of to get those extra points that will allow you you don't know which province to look for, and everybody points do you have, for your English test, for example. So, some for express entry, you need to have a higher language score to be able to get that skilled worker requirements. You should be fine. There's a question that says, can we get a Canada from the USA? So, unfortunately, the answer is no, because the main thing is here for no fees at all to our office. But of course, for your PR your application, the fee is to the federal government, as you would with any other PR application. Yeah. Okay, let's see if there's any other questions. I see a question about healthcare domain. I just want to point out that healthcare is an in-demand and document reaching out to us. We're also looking for early childhood educators, veterinarians, pharmacists, as well as paramedics. So all these employers are here with us today. So All right. There's a question there about mobility and key factors for talents. Stations like Irving, but also electricity stations aren't an issue. As seen last spring, are they challenges for people during winter months outside the city? So we will go into a bit more details about what you're looking at when it comes to the province of Newfoundland Labrador, especially when it comes to weather, what you can expect here in terms of the cost of living, and how some of the services and that we have and we offer here in the province. So to speak to that question or answer that question a bit more briefly, I mean, compared to the rest of Canada, Newfoundland is actually one of the warmest in the winter, believe it or not. So it's definitely one of most tolerable places to live during the winter. Um, we do get a bit of snow, and it depends on if you're the kind of person who likes snow, because we have a lot of activities that happen during the winter months, like skiing, snowshoeing, and different kind of activities across the province. And the farther you go from the main city, actually, there's more activities there, as we have ski resorts, and more place for people to do things that they like to do. So yeah, so we're a unique province that way, and we really enjoy our winters here. So it really depends if that's the kind of person you are. All right. Next question. If I get any job, then can I move with my family members? That's to apply for any job and them to work with any employer so they can come to Canada and look for a job when they're here. And if you have children, they can get a study permit and start studying in the school system here. And we'll talk a bit more again in our attraction presentation, which is the next one, of what the school system and everything looks like. So please do attend. But just so you know, schooling is free here. So the K to 12 system here, kindergarten to grade 12 is free. And even if they're an international student, they can go to school here while you're working. So when you come here on your work permit, you will then start working with your employer. And then once the processing time for your PR is done, you will then become a permanent resident. So that's good news. And, for those of you who are concerned of how you can get your PR by, being outside Canada, this is a really great way for you to do that. All right. So, just to make a note, for those of you who are interested to come to Canada, and especially, have limited spaces each year that allows us to accept applications. Since 2023, we do still have some spaces and allocations available under the AIP and PN. But I would recommend we are December 31st, 2023 is when our allocations close, and then the new allocations would come in for the new year. But we are seeing there are more people, interested to come to our province and have been applying to our program. It's definitely possible, so that you can submit your application to us, and we're able to process it without running out of our spaces. So definitely do that as soon as possible. Last year, we actually met all our allocations end of November, so we had to wait until the new year to start accepting new applications. But also keep in mind, we're not here to, like I said, to reject you. It might just be a matter of making you wait till the new year. But if you don't want to wait and you want to, make sure and that you have a space for yourself and for your family, definitely put in that application as soon as possible to our office. All right. There was a question about getting a job in NL requires an LMIA. So I just want to briefly explain this because I can understand how it can be confusing. So an LMIA is a labor market impact assessment that is issued by the federal government. For those of you who are applying from outside Canada and looking to get a work permit, which is usually a closed work permit, and the employer usually will, get an LMIA assessment, which is, but not everybody can afford, and not many employers also want to do that, spend so much money. So that is why. So completely an LIA, they can just get a JVA through our office. If they're an employer based in our province, and they're looking to offer you a job, they just need to go through the JVA process. A couple days. Once they have the approval, then that will allow you to apply for the closed work permit like we spoke about. So the JVA is for the NLPNP, which is the Newfoundland and Labrador Provincial Nominee Program. Under the AIP, the LMIA is built into the AIP designation process where employers, sign up to become a designated employer. Again, there is no cost to them. It's completely free. They are basically just indicating that they are interested to hire international talent from outside Canada, and they just need to submit a few documentations to us to show, for example, that they have, been working in the province or been established in the province for at least 2 years, and make sure that they go through certain trainings, so that we know that they are able to support you as a newcomer to Canada. So yeah, these are two great options, which are completely free, and you don't need to get an LMIA. That employers can just go through our process. So if you do get a job offer and the employer is not familiar with our program, again, send us an email. We're happy to chat with them and walk them through the entire process. So don't worry about if you are not familiar with the process and what to tell the employers. But if you do have a job offer, the main thing is to remember is to please reach out to us. We are here to help you support you through that process. All right. And let's see, any other questions? All right. Yeah, and I just want to make a note, which I see some of my colleagues have mentioned, is the provincial government of Newfoundland, so our office and really the entire government. We have a public service division that does the hiring for all the different departments here. So they are here today with us at the booth. So please do visit their booth and they have many positions that are posted on our website. So definitely have a look at that. You can create a profile and directly apply to those postings as well. And I see George just put the link there. So explore all those postings there. Fall on and focusing on a few in-demand jobs. First up, let's watch this great video.
It's the place you've been searching for. It's really cool. It's not really good. It's uninspired. So it's different. So it's filled. True. Every drawn by our future coastline has a sure our future for the future.
Hey, Sophia, if could you share your video again with the audio? I think the audio is not coming through.
Okay, let me try that again.
When you click on share screen, it gives you the option of sharing with the audio.
Okay, we'll do that again. Sorry, folks. Perfect. So that was a little bit about our province, but we're going to go in deeper now into learning what our province really is all about. So the sun rises here in North America on the most easterly point on the continent. This place is home to the oldest European settlement and one of the oldest cities in North America, but has been a province of Canada for 65 years. We're closer to Europe than Calgary or Vancouver, and having our own time zone is just one example of the off-kilter nature of this place. With 17,000 kilometers of coastline, there are many bays and inlets to explore and plenty of opportunities for open ocean research and development. Our province has the lowest commute times in Canada, with less traffic, meaning more valuable time spent with family and friends. Newfoundland and Labrador, we do have an average summer temperature of 16 degrees, whereas the winter hovers over 0 degrees, with a few periods of snowfall. However, compared to Toronto, which does have an average temperature of minus 20 degrees, we are warmer during the winter. St. John's is the capital city of Newfoundland. Rich and colorful, rugged and defined, it's the creative capital and the beating cultural heart of the province. Woven into our history and tradition is a new wave of art, architecture, music, cuisine, all waiting for you to discover. Newfoundland and Labrador has an area of 405,720 square kilometers. It is more than 3 times the total area of the Maritime provinces, which is Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and PEI together. And we're almost 1 3/4 times the size of Great Britain. So how do you get here? Traveling here by plane is a popular option. Flying time to St. John's is about 1.5 hours from Halifax, 3.5 hours from Toronto, and about 5 hours from London. Newfoundland and Labrador is served by scheduled airlines and charter services and can be reached via national and international connections like Air Canada, WestJet, Porter that fly here daily. Drawn from the Canadian Social Survey, which collects data every 3 months from people 15 and older on health, well-being, the impacts of COVID-19 activities, use of time, and emergency preparedness. The figure shows that 61.7% of people in Newfoundland and Labrador reported a high life satisfaction, above the Canadian average of 51.7%. So Newfoundland and Labrador has been known as the happiest province in Canada by Statistics Canada 2022. Life in Newfoundland and Labrador. Newfoundland and Labrador has a reputation of being very friendly. You will definitely hear a lot of people say that about us, which is very true. This is a land of rich history and natural wonders, stunning coastlines, breaching whales, icebergs, and some of the most incredible skyscrapers you'll ever see. With local cuisines and chefs winning national and international awards, it's clear that the culture and food diversity in Newfoundland and Labrador has never been more delicious and is always growing. With the temperate climate, Newfoundland and Labrador is the perfect place to enjoy outdoor activities like hiking, kayaking in the late spring, summer, and fall, as well as sports like snowboarding, skiing, and snowmobiling in the winter. Community and services. Newfoundland and Labrador has the most affordable post-secondary institution, which is the Memorial University of Newfoundland and Labrador. We also have the College of North Atlantic, which is another college which has 17 campuses all across Newfoundland and Labrador. Memorial University has 19,000 students from Newfoundland and Labrador, as well as international students from 115 countries. The Association for New Canadians is a nonprofit, community-based organization delivering settlement and integration services to immigrants and refugees in Newfoundland and Labrador. For more than 40 years, the association has delivered programs and services that support all aspects of immigration integration, ranging from settlement information and orientation to language learning, skills development, and employment. The Association Communication Francophone de St. John's is a nonprofit organization that offers a wide variety of activities and services for all interests and budgets. Most of our activities take place at the Francophone Community Center. It is the Francophone settlement organization currently based in Newfoundland and Labrador. The Newfoundland and Labrador Medical Care Plan, known as MCP, is publicly administered comprehensive plan of medical insurance which was introduced in April 1st of 1969. MCP covers the cost of insured physician services for residents of the province who have met eligibility criteria to register as MCP beneficiaries. MCP beneficiaries are also entitled to coverage of insured medical services received in hospital under the hospital insurance plan. This is, of course, free of cost for all residents in Newfoundland and Labrador. Residents of Newfoundland and Labrador also benefit from up to 12 to 18 months of parental leave for your newborn or newly adopted children at a rate of 55% of your earnings, compared to the United States, which only receives up to 12 weeks of unpaid maternity leave. We also use English and French as language instruction in school and throughout the province. We have the most affordable childcare, which is about $10 a day or $7.48 USD. There are many community groups, cultural organizations, diverse food and religious institutions in the province that is continuously growing. Housing is a big priority for our government as it works to increase availability and affordability. Though we focus here on St. John's, which is our capital, rates across the province are generally much lower as you move to urban and even rural areas, while availability increases. As you can see, the average cost to purchase a home is significantly lower than other cities in Canada. This is something we would like to highlight for you today as Newfoundland and Labrador as a destination of choice for new migrants. As you can see, the average cost of a 2-bedroom apartment is $1,100, whereas a 3-bedroom costs approximately $2,100. Utilities are not often included in the rent, which we will explain a little bit later. And according to Newfoundland and Labrador, as you can see, the average home in St. John's is about $304,000. However, compared to Halifax, which is $529,000 and $1.16 million in Toronto. So we definitely have the most affordable housing. Transportation in St. John's. You can purchase a monthly bus pass for about $78 or a single fare of $2.50. Otherwise, an option for transit is through taxis in the capital city, as well as smaller cities throughout the province. It is usually recommended that you plan to purchase a car, as this will make your navigation through St. John's easier, but we wish to provide some approximate costs for owning a car so you are well prepared. Most newcomers will need to pass their driving test unless from a country that have a driver's license from United States, Germany, Australia, Switzerland, United Kingdom, Republic of Korea, Ukraine, France, Isle of Man, Northern Ireland, Japan, and Taiwan. So a driver's license fee costs approximately $125 Canadian. A road test is about $78. Annual car registration is about $90. And a car insurance depends on how much time you've been in Canada, so it does reduce every year once you are driving and start driving in the province and in the country. An approximate amount for used cars is about $10,000 Canadian, and new cars cost approximately $20,000, which of course you can take as a loan and with monthly EMIs. Car insurance from newcomers from countries without a reciprocal agreement is often priced as they are a new driver, but also depends on your insurance broker. So comparing the numbers, we want to give you a good idea of what it would look like if you were living and working here in Newfoundland and Labrador. It is good news that by next month, the minimum wage will be increasing to $15 Canadian. Full-time work is about 35 to 40 hours per week. If you work 40 hours a week for a minimum wage, you will receive $600 every week. Included in your taxes is employment insurance in case you lose your job, Canada Pension Plan, which is a retirement support, income tax, which is support for government services like we talked about, free healthcare, free education during your school. So these deductions will be taken from your paycheck every week or bi-weekly, depending on your employer. So make sure you do your research and compare the salary in your job to the cost of living in Newfoundland and Labrador. Later in our presentation, we will provide some average salaries for in-demand jobs in fields such as healthcare, early childhood education, and IT. We also encourage you to do research between approximate salaries compared to the cost of living in Newfoundland and Labrador. While other provinces may have higher minimum income, this is because they also have a higher cost of living. So we would just want to give you an example to compare the average cost of living in Newfoundland and Labrador with a real-life example of what it would look like if you moved to Newfoundland and you got a job, how much you would make, how much you would save, and how much would go in different expenses. So here we have young guy who has a full-time job as an early childhood educator in St. John's with 2 years of experience and her new ECE certificate, which is the Early Childhood Certificate for Newfoundland and Labrador. She will earn a wage of $25 per hour. Along with her spouse, she will expect to pay approximately $1,100 a month on her apartment rental fee, and an additional $400 per month on utilities, which is electricity, internet, cable, etc. Upon arrival to Newfoundland Labrador, young guy's spouse will work as a restaurant manager. As a full-time employee, ECE, young guy will work 37.5 hours per week and earn approximately $937.50 before taxes. Her annual salary of $48,750 means at a tax rate of 14.5%, she will pay $135.95 per week in taxes. As a restaurant manager, young guy's spouse will work 40 hours per week at a minimum rate of $15 per hour and earn approximately $600 before taxes. So if we break that down with the monthly income, you're looking at $3,206 for young guy and $1,564 for young guy spouse after taxes. So when we say after taxes, that means after all the deductions are taken out, like we mentioned on the previous slide, for employment insurance, for your pension plan, things like that. So this is how much you would get in your pocket. So when we deduct apartment rental of $1,100, utilities, which is electricity bills, internet bills, cable for heat and light, things like that would fall under utilities. Some apartments you will see are advertised as without utilities or pay your own utilities, which means it's not included in the rental fee itself, which is why we've separated it here, because sometimes you will see that. But if you're renting a room, for example, sometimes utilities are included in your rental fee. So it's a good idea to keep an eye out for that when you're looking for apartments to rent. So if you're looking to buy for groceries for 2 people, you're looking at $450 per month, and car insurance of approximately $97 per month for 1 driver. So if we add all of this up and minus it from your monthly income for 2 people, you are saving about $2,723 a month that you get to do anything that you like with, compared to other provinces that have higher rental fees and higher expenses. With Newfoundland Labrador, you get to save a lot of that money. So we're going to go into the immigration programs that we offer here in Newfoundland and Labrador. This is a quick summary of the broad steps to immigrate to Newfoundland and Labrador. First, an employer must have a full-time year-round job vacancy and make an offer to a foreign worker, such as yourself. The employer must also register with the federal government's employer portal and be willing to pay a $230 fee to support a worker's work permit application if needed. Once a worker receives a job offer, they apply for either the Newfoundland and Labrador Provincial Nominee Program or the Atlantic Immigration Program. Criteria for each program differ, which we will review shortly, but our average processing times under both programs is 25 business days for our office. Once approved under the NLPNP for nomination or AIP for endorsement, you can then apply to the federal government for a work permit and permanent residency. Processing times for work permit and permanent residency differ with the federal government and can be found on the federal government's website. With work permit approval and visa approval if necessary, you can travel to Newfoundland and Labrador and begin working while your PR application is still in process. The Office of Immigration and Multiculturalism offers 2 economic immigration programs that facilitate a path to permanent residency for individuals who have full-time, non-seasonal, or job offer from a Newfoundland and Labrador employer or own a business. Both programs offer various streams: the Newfoundland and Labrador Provincial Nominee Program and the Atlantic Immigration Program. The NLPNP has a few categories to choose from, whereas the AIP depends on both a candidate's job offer and work experience. So as you can see under the NLPNP, we have the Express Entry Skilled Worker, International Graduate, International Entrepreneur, and International Graduate Entrepreneur. The Office of Immigration also offers the Newfoundland and Labrador Settlement and Integration Program that is designed to make settlement and integration for new immigrants smooth through support to service providers in the province. The AIP, as you can see, is based on a tier system. It starts from tier 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. We will talk a little bit more about this, but you can also find more information on what the tier levels mean on our website. So program eligibility is based on the tier level of your job offer. For Firstly, we'll speak about the Newfoundland and Labrador Provincial Nominee Program. The objective is for foreign nationals to obtain a work permit and permanent residency, as well as a pathway for foreign nationals to settle permanently in all regions in Newfoundland and Labrador. It's used to attract entrepreneurs and support entrepreneurs already established in Newfoundland and Labrador, also attract skilled professionals in identified in-demand occupations. Key eligibility looks like candidate must have a full-time minimum 30 hours weekly, year-round, at least a 2-year job offer. Demonstrate to economically establish in the province, intend to reside in Newfoundland and Labrador permanently, provide valid language results depending on the program that you apply through. Work experience, however, is not required for the skilled worker category, but you do need to meet the NOC or the tier requirements. You also need to meet category-specific eligibility criteria, which you can find on our website under the Newfoundland and Labrador Provincial Nominee Program. Next, we have the Atlantic Immigration Program. The Atlantic Immigration Program has been created to enhance joint coordination between the Atlantic provinces and the federal government. It is designed to help employers in the Atlantic provinces attract skilled workers and international graduates to permanently fill job vacancies. Employers must apply first and wait to have their employer to be approved as a designated employer. Employer engagement in settlement integration is higher than the provincial nominee program. The processing time is likely faster as well than the provincial nominee program. If you're already working in the province, you could qualify to become a permanent resident through this program. There is no labor market impact assessment, sometimes known as an LMIA, that is not required for this program. AIP is an expedited permanent residency pathway and has additional mandatory requirements that both the employer and candidate must meet. So key eligibility criteria: job offer must be full-time again, so minimum 30 hours weekly and for at least 1 year. It must be in a tier 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4 occupation. As you can see, tier 5 does not qualify under the Atlantic Immigration Program. Candidate must intend to reside in Newfoundland and Labrador. Language testing is mandatory for all candidates, so you could either take an IELTS or a self-up test. If candidate does not have education completed in Canada, an education credential assessment is required for any education completed outside Canada. There is no age limit under the AIP. However, under the PNP, you do need to be between the age of 21 and 59. Next, we will highlight average salaries for in-demand occupations in the province. There are based on 40-hour work weeks. As you begin your job search, we encourage you to create a LinkedIn profile as a tool to help you make local connections and learn about job opportunities. For tech-related jobs, you may also find it useful to connect with TechNL, which is the Industry Association for Information and Community Technology Jobs. TechNL is present with us today during the fair, so feel free to check out their booth and visit their booth if you have any questions. They do also have a presentation following mine later today. Newfoundland and Labrador has one provincial health authority that covers 4 regions of the province called Newfoundland and Labrador Health Services. Each region has differing needs, but in particular, there is a great need for registered nurses and licensed practical nurses across the province. NLHS will have an employer booth set up for you to connect directly with during our fair today as well. And they do also have questions. If you have questions, you can also ask those questions during when you visit their booth. Early childhood educators and assistants have many vacancies in the province. This is a recent grid of the salaries and hourly rates of ECEs based on years of experience. The Newfoundland and Labrador Association for Early Childhood Educators, known as ACE-NL, can provide specific information on your eligibility. Early Childhood Educator Wage Grid, which is from the Department of Education. Newfoundland and Labrador Early Childhood Education Wage Grid is developed to support regulated child care centers in offering accessible and quality childcare by recognizing the valuable contributions of ECEs that make with children of the province. The Early Childhood Education Wage Grid aims to increase retention and recruitment of ECEs and increase interest for current and future ECEs to further their education and ultimately improve quality of care. The base rate for an ECE2 with a 2-year diploma is $25 an hour. This is the starting rate for a new graduate. Educators who continue to further their education and are awarded a higher certification level will be placed at a step 1 of their new level. For example, an ECE1 at step 2 who achieves an ECE2 designation would be placed at step 1 of level 2, which is $25.50. The steps on the grid last 12 months starting January 1st of 2023. ACE-NL also does have a booth today and are present with us today. So if you do have questions, please do visit their booth. They are also providing a presentation later after me, so feel free to attend their presentation for more information. Latest news on immigration. So immigration to the province has increased by 60% since 2017. Newfoundland and Labrador immigration targets were met for the first time last year in 2022, with double the spaces this year in 2023 and some remaining for the remainder of the year. Newfoundland and Labrador adopted a client service-centered approach to all provincial immigration programs. So when you put an application through the AIP or the PNP, you will be assigned an officer who will work with you throughout the process and make sure they are holding your hand along the way. To connect with us, you can visit our website for a list of frequently asked questions. If you have any questions that you cannot find the answers on our website about our immigration programs, feel free to send us an email to attraction@gov.nl.ca. We're also present throughout the day. If you have any questions, there will be round tables. So feel free to meet with any of our immigration officers to answer any questions you have either about this presentation or anything in general about an Hi, folks. My apologies for the technical difficulties. All right. So, yeah, that was the end of our presentation. I just wanted to mention my apologies. I think I mentioned that Tekena and ACE-NL's presentation was after mine, but I believe they have completed their sessions already today. But their recordings will be available for 30 days after the fair today. So if you didn't get a chance to attend their session, feel free to check out the on-demand videos where you can find their presentations recorded there. All right, so we can start answering some questions now. All right, let's see, what do we have? I think I've answered a few questions in the chat. Banking jobs in demand. It's not considered an in-demand occupation. However, that is needless to say that there are a lot of banking jobs. However, that's because those are jobs that people, especially, coming out of university, that you are able to get really easily. So those are jobs that are readily available and you can certainly apply to. So some of the main banks here are the Royal Bank of Canada, or RBC, TD. We have BMO, the Bank of Montreal, and CIBC. So these are some of the most popular banks here. So feel free to check out their websites available. All right. Next question. It's a question about you tried to apply for a few jobs but didn't receive any response. So yeah, I would definitely ask for some patience there because employers do need to review your job applications. I'm assuming that these are jobs that you applied today on our fair. So yeah, employers will get a chance to look at all the resumes. You know, we have thousands of applicants here today, but I'm sure you will hear from them shortly. All right. There's a question about, please, can you give us the employers with the LMIA? So I think you mean designated employers. The designated employers are employers that are participating in our Atlantic immigration program. So I will get my colleague to put a link of the designated employers where you can find all the employers in Newfoundland and Labrador who are actively hiring and have positions available and are participating in our Atlantic immigration program, which means that they are actively looking for foreign nationals and international talent to fill their position. So that is a great place for you to start looking for jobs. And you know, as we mentioned, the AIP is a faster pathway. We're looking at about 6 months processing time. So it is really quick once you do have the job offer and put in your application to us. So yeah, definitely check out the designated employers. And I put that link there. All right. Okay. And there was a question about where did it go? Okay. Yep. Okay. So there's a question about. Yeah, absolutely. So if you are here on a visitor visa and you get a job with an employer here in our province, if they're an employer that is not designated, they can get a job vacancy assessment or a JBA, which would then allow you to apply for a closed work permit with that employer. It is free of cost. employers list, and you find an employer there. For example, they are more on that list positions. Some experience. But if you're looking to, like I said, come to Newfoundland and start a business, there are options that you could explore for sure. But just to mention about the remote work, so there are people who have asked if you can work from outside Newfoundland, from another province or from another country like the US or any other country, and apply for our programs. So just to clarify, the intention of our provincial nominee program or the Atlantic Immigration Program is to show that your intention is to permanently leave another province or is in another country and apply to our programs. It has to be an employer that is registered here in Newfoundland and Labrador, and you should be physically working from our province. In my own country, will I be able to count my professional experience in applying any engineering job related to my field? Will I be able to get an LMI Police Guide? it's not work experience. It definitely depends on what kind of work you are doing, of course, for your government and to our government and our country in Canada here. It shouldn't be an issue, but you mentioned engineering. So, if I'm assuming that it's an engineering position that you had, and you find a engineering job, an LMIA. If you apply through the PNP or the AIP, you could either get a JVA through the PNP or directly apply through the AIP if they're a designated employer. Okay. Any other questions? Put some resources and links in the chat, so please do have a look at that. Okay. If you mean through this fair, so unfortunately this fair will be ending in 10 minutes, but we will have the job postings and, like we said, the recordings still available for 30 days. So you can still log in and enter the platform. However, there won't be employers physically present to chat with or to answer your questions, but you can certainly still navigate through the platform and access the resources that are available here. Okay. Catherine, I see your comment there where you try to apply for computer support specialist with OCIO. So that is with our office. So George, maybe you can put the link to our Public Service Commission website there again. So Catherine, you can look up that position on our website and you can direct to them via email, but you should be able to see that on the job posting itself. So yeah, definitely check out the link that George just posted there. All right. Any other questions? We have about 9 minutes left. Okay, there's a question about proof of funds. Our programs, which would be the PNP or the AIP, you are applying for PR. So we would look at it from the lens of, do you have enough money to come here and become a permanent resident and live here, not just for coming as a work permit. I cannot advise on work permits itself because I'm not authorized to. I can only speak to our provincial immigration pathways, but I would refer you to the IRCC website to have a look at the proof of funds that is required by IRCC for a work permit if you're just looking to apply for a work permit directly. For our office, if you're applying for PR, we will be looking at a couple of different things, such as the size of your family, how much you'll be making with the job offered employer here, and how much savings do you have. And others less than. So there is depending on your circumstance and your individual situation.